Betsy DeVos, former Education Secretary, joins me now. Madam Secretary, Trump wants to abolish the Department of Education. How would education look if it were abolished?
Well, let's be very clear. The president wants to support education and support kids and their families, but eliminate the bureaucrats. And there are plenty of bureaucratic positions at the Department of Education that should be eliminated. They've had an agenda that has not been aligned with students' needs. It's been aligned with adults' needs. Remember, the Department of Education was a payoff to the teachers' union, started in 1979 by then President Jimmy Carter. And it has been focused on adult issues and adult needs. It has been an outpost or an inpost for the union movement over all of these 40 plus years. So the focus on the part of this next president is on kids and what is best for kids.
How do you take on the teachers' union?
Well, you continue to provide options and choices for families, as many states are doing across the country, and where the president and Congress can come together and form a federal tax credit to come alongside these programs in the states that already have it, and to give options to kids in the states that have not yet made those policy changes. That's how you can actually support kids and the best things for their futures.
It's very difficult, though, to reform education where policy is based at the state level and not the federal level. That's a kind of you've got to get over that somehow or other.
Well, you need to turn all of those decisions back to the states. It should not be federalized in Washington, D.C. at the Department of Education. The needs of kids in a rural, tiny village in Alaska are very different than the needs of kids in an urban school in Miami, for example. And yet the approach, when all coalesced under the Department of Education, is a one-size-fits-all approach that hasn't worked for millions of kids for many years, and we're finally realizing and recognizing that.
Biden has this vast plan of student loan forgiveness. What happens to that vast plan now we have President-elect Donald Trump?
Well, first of all, the Biden administration's not following the law. They continue to try to evade what the courts have said. This is a totally illegal scheme, and this next administration is going to refocus. It will refocus on cleaning up the mess that's been left to them and getting options to students in their higher ed years that are going to provide in multiple pathways to higher education or education beyond high school. You're too much focus on only four-year colleges as an answer, and too much focus on the government with a heavy hand controlling all of student lending and then trying to forgive it for some chosen students while others are paying them off faithfully and others have not even taken out student loans. It's a totally unfair and illegal scheme. That was a vote-buying scheme on the part of the Biden-Harris administration. It didn't work. It's not going to work. And there's a lot of opportunity for a different pathway going forward.
I believe that unionization of this education system was imposed by executive order. Straighten me out if I've got this wrong. Executive order did it in the early 1960s. Therefore, would it be possible to issue an executive order in this day and age that de-unionizes the education system? Is that possible?
Well, that's a really great question for legal minds to grapple with. But I think it's very clear that President Trump in a second administration wants to return power, decision-making, and control to the most local level possible. Sometimes that's going to be states. Ideally, it's directly to families to be able to make the best and right decisions with their kids.
Betsy DeVos, former Education Secretary under Mr. Trump, first time around. Hope to see you again real soon. Thanks for being with us today. Appreciate it.